Welcome to Mental Fitness, the Gateway to Success podcast, providing business owners, leaders, and entrepreneurs with the 3 INs: insights, inspirations, and intentional actions. Delivered through monologues and dialogues, we address topics like leadership, productivity, time management, work-life balance, and challenges like stress, conflict, mental health, and much more. Please do not hold back from suggesting specific topics and guests you would like on this podcast. Greetings and welcome to this second episode of the podcast, Mental Fitness, the Gateway to Success. In the first episode, I introduced the podcast and who I am and why the title and so on. So what I want to do in this second one is I want to dive in a little bit deeper into the term mental fitness and also why mental fitness is the gateway to success as I see it. And of course, as we carry on with this podcast over weeks and months, we will keep diving deeper and deeper into this term mental fitness. So as I said in the first episode, it's a relatively new term for me. And if we go and try and look up the definition of it, there is no kind of official definition of it as a term. So therefore, in a way, we are free to make up our own. And different people have different, mean different things with this and see this in different ways, which of course is fantastic. Shazad Chamine, as I mentioned, is the guy that introduced me to this, and he has his definition. And what I will do today is I will share with you my definition. And of course, my definition is right. Is not right or wrong. My definition is just my definition. And if you gave me an hour to define it, I will spend an hour defining it. And if you give me a minute to define it, I will do it in a minute. So, as I love simplicity and taking particularly complicated things and making them simple, I will give you my simplest definition that I can come up with of mental fitness. And it goes like this. Mental fitness is the ability to deal with challenges in a positive way. So, the reality is that there's going to be challenges. Like if you're alive, there's going to be challenges. You cannot avoid challenges. What many of us do, we try harder to avoid challenges than getting good at dealing with challenges. And yes, it's good to avoid challenges that can't be avoided. Like we don't want to invite silly challenges that just for the sake of it, if they are not really bringing a value to us. So yes, we can choose challenges, and yeah, I do recommend that. Just be careful when you choose them, that you actually choose challenges that are worthwhile challenges, not just ones that essentially going to be a waste of your time. So I'll give you an example of a challenge I have just given myself in the last few weeks. And that is to sign up and do a half marathon. Now, that may not sound like a big challenge, but for me, it is, given where I am in my life and given that the longest I have run for the last 45 years is 10 kilometers. And I won't go into a big story about why I picked that challenge. Maybe I can share the story in another podcast episode. But what I'm sharing here is that is a challenge I have chosen because of the value and the benefit that I see in that challenge. Now, what I'm going to need to complete that challenge is mental fitness. Of course, I'm going to need to practice, obviously. And it's in the practice where the mental fitness is needed. It's also going to be needed on the day of running it. But to stick with the practice is going to require mental fitness. And coming back to my definition about doing it in a positive way, in order for it to fall into the category that I call mental fitness, is when we're dealing with challenges, no matter whether we have selected them or they have arrived at our doorstep, when we deal with it in a positive way, we are in a different mindset. And maybe this is one of the cruxes of mental fitness. It is the ability to be in this creative, intuitive mindset and mind state. Because when we are in that place, we can deal with whatever challenge is in front of us in a better way, where we are going to get more success, better outcomes, and in particularly making better choices. And for me, that is a key to mental fitness. I encourage you to go and download my free mental fitness guide. It's on my website, on the resource page. And in that, I also have a definition of mental fitness, which I'll read out to you. And it's in essence the same, but it's just a little bit longer. And it goes, mental fitness is the ability to handle challenges, stick to commitments, do the uncomfortable stuff that needs doing, and be happy in the process. So it's kind of saying the same thing, just making it a little bit longer. And of course, we can make longer versions out of it. But I trust that you get the drift here of what I mean. And what we're going to be covering in this podcast over time, both with guests and from me, are at one level diving deeper into what mental fitness is, but also giving stories and examples, not just from me, but from other people, of what does that actually look like. And then, of course, there's also going to be a lot about how do you actually grow your mental fitness. So once we align with, yes, it's a good idea to grow it, it's makes sense. Then the next question becomes, well, how do I do that? And of course, we're going to be covering that all the way along. So just one little bit of caution here. And again, particularly when, say, we pick our challenges, it becomes really important, I think, to distinguish between um, the like sticking with things and doing that which is needed to achieve the outcomes that we want, like say my half marathon. Distinguish the term mental fitness against stubbornness. So stubbornness is not mental fitness. Stubbornness is like, no, I'm going to do this and I'm going to push through this and oh no, and that becomes a grind. And what is missing in that grind is the happiness, the positivity. So the mental fitness, in my example, is the ability to do the practice that I need to do and that I know at times I don't want to do. But to do that, not with, oh, I have to do this, I'm committed to this, and then I'm stubborn and I'm, persistent with this. That is not mental fitness to me. Mental fitness is to recognize the resistance to do it, and I don't want to do it, or it's raining today, or I'm tired. To, I chose to do this, and I'm going to do the practice today that I need to do. And I'm going to choose to put a smile on my face while I do that. That's mental fitness because now I'm releasing a different level of energy into the practice. Because stress, tension, stubbornness is energy consuming. And that is not productive because I want that energy channeled over into the challenge I have in front of me. Whether it's a business conflict I'm in, whether it's a relationship conflict I'm in, or whether it's just a conflict I have with myself inside my own head. So coming back to the title of why mental fitness is the gateway to success. I think you can see that already, and see where I'm coming from. That when we shift into a state of better mental fitness, that leads to better success, not just success, but better success. Success that comes with a smile, that comes with positivity. And then when we're dealing with other people in that positivity comes across to the people around us. Whether that is your business team, your leadership team, or anybody you want to encourage in your project to come into that project, into that creations that you have done as an entrepreneur. It is easier to attract people through a positive mindset than it is otherwise. Yes, you can force people into things, but the long-term effect of that is most likely going to be negative. So not only does mental fitness become the gateway to success in a business, in a professional sense, it actually works in every area of our lives. And that includes friends and family. It includes hobbies and sports that you engage in. And of course, it includes also parenting and things like relationships. And dare I say it? Yes, I do. It also really is important in the bedroom. Yeah. Because for many of us, that is a place where there are challenges. And for many of us, it is difficult for us to communicate and talk about that in that setting, in that intimacy setting. So I have in my own life discovered, earlier on where I did not have a very high level of mental fitness, how challenging and limiting that became in that part of my life. And now with much, much better mental fitness today, um, it is much easier, still challenging, but it's much easier to make progress in that area. So I can really, really recommend anyone to go down this pathway of growing your ability to deal with the challenges in front of you in a positive way, in a sticking to it commitment way, using positive intelligence to achieve better results and making better choices everywhere in your life. So I want to finish this episode with just giving just one, and we're going to be doing a lot of this over time. Just give you one simple example of how you can grow your mental fitness in just essentially a few seconds, but like a few minutes a day, by practicing becoming more peaceful, more calm within your own mind. Because that is a very powerful place to start becoming more mentally fit. Because when you're in a state of worry, anxiety, stress, pressure, there is not a lot of freedom left in the mind to be creative and to be positive. Yeah. So there are two places to practice. One place is to practice while you're in a stressful situation. So let's say, take an example of, I don't know, I don't play golf, but let's take golf as an example. So you can practice mental fitness while you play golf, and you can practice mental fitness while you're not playing golf, and then take the results of that practice into golf. And just again, take any subject, golf, business, bedroom, anything. So what I want to give you today is a practice to do outside golf, outside the challenging situation you're in. Because it's easier to practice this when the pressure is not on. And then you can call on that practice when you are in a challenging situation. And then over time, as you get better and better at this, you can start practicing even when the pressure is on. So creating more presence and more stillness within your mind. There are hundreds and hundreds of, maybe thousands of ways of doing that. Let me just give you one simple example, one of Shirzad's preferred ones. And having tried this with many people, it is actually astonishing how well it works. And if you're watching this on video, you can see what I'm doing. If you're not, just listen because it is really, really simple. And please do this with me right now if you can. You just need 2 fingers free to do this. So just take 2 fingers, like a thumb and one other finger, doesn't matter which one, and gently rub those 2 fingers together. If you can close your eyes while you're doing this, that will make it more powerful. So obviously, if you're driving and listening to that, do not close your eyes. And just very, very gently rub those 2 fingers together and move it all around. And notice all the different sensations that comes from just rubbing 2 fingers together. And pay really, really close attention to those sensations in those 2 fingers in these different places where you can feel that. And just from doing this now myself, as I'm talking, you're probably noticing that I'm speaking slower. And as my mind is calming down even further. It's quite astonishing. And I don't know how long we did that for. Maybe there was definitely half a minute, maybe a minute. So my encouragement and invitation to you is do this a few times every day for the next few days. And notice in doing that how your mind will calm down and how you will become more present. And in that, whatever you do next, you will be better equipped to deal with that. Whether it's a huge challenge or a minor challenge, you will be handling it in a more positive way and therefore in a more effective way. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Mental Fitness, the Gateway to Success. If you have stories of how mental fitness has benefited you that you are happy to share, go to my website, mikael.nz, click on podcast and fill in the guest application form. If you want direct support from me utilizing my 40 years of mental fitness learning and practice, email me at coach@mikael.nz or message me on LinkedIn. Any feedback, review, share, follow, like, or any other good stuff is, of course, appreciated. Thank you for listening to Mental Fitness, the Gateway to Success podcast. I'm your host, Mikael Nielsen.